I feel sad. My girlfriend left me and now I kinda feel bad. Sometimes I wanna cry cause I loved her but she didn't love me back. So I don't know about you guys, but for the first couple years of me writing songs, that's how my lyrics sounded. Maybe you went through the same thing. Maybe you still sound that way. Let's talk about it. What's up guys, my name is Konner and today we're gonna talk about six things that I wish I knew as a beginning songwriter that would have helped my lyrics be so much better right off the bat. Lyrics can make or break a song. I've heard songs that just have mediocre chord progressions, melody lines, instrumentation that I end up loving because they tell a compelling story. And then there's songs that are just brilliant, beautiful musical masterpieces that I can't even listen to because something about the lyrics turns me off so much that it just irks me to even hear it. The good news for you is lyric writing is a skill that you can practice and you can improve that if you have the right tools and know the right things. Let's break it down. Alright, so tip number one is more of an exercise than it is a tip. This is actually something I acquired from a very famous songwriting book called Simply Writing Better Lyrics by a brilliant man named Pat Pattison. The number one thing that he opens the book with and leans on throughout the entire thing is something called object writing. Object writing is very simple. All you have to do is pick an object, just some sort of noun. It can be a physical thing, it can be a human being, or it can be a time and place element, so like going to school on a drizzly Wednesday morning. And then what you do is you set a timer for 5-10 minutes and you just write as much as you can about that topic while staying attached to your senses. So as an example, let's say the topic is sandwich. I might say something like softness and crunch, a blending whirlpool of outcast ingredients, by themselves left to collect dust and mold in an aging fridge, but together the perfect cacophony of electric flavors, screaming my name with a spirited fervor. So a little bit dramatic, you see the point. Softness and crunch, those are textural things, so that's the touch sense. Blending whirlpool of outcast ingredients, that's visual. Cacophony of electric flavors, I'm kind of merging two senses there, because cacophony usually refers to sound, but electric flavors is taste. Screaming my name with the spirited fervor, that's audio, that's hearing. Now this is a super useful strategy for a number of reasons. Number one, it just makes your writing more poetic. For sandwich, I could have said something like, I like sandwiches. Bologna is my favorite. I like the way it tastes. It's really good with mayo. It's not very exciting. Number two, it gets you really good at adding energy and movement into your lyrics. It can really help take your writing to another level, so I recommend trying it. All right, thing number two that I wish I'd realized younger is to use half rhymes to my advantage. When I first started writing lyrics, I would consider it a failure of my creativity if I couldn't find an exact rhyme down to the exact vowels and consonants to close off two rhyming lines. And over time I began to understand that not only is there a beauty in half rhymes if they're used elegantly in the right way, but it also just opens up so many doors that just stay closed if you restrict yourself only to the most exact specific rhyme. Part of what triggered this epiphany for me was listening to a lot of rap music. I was listening to these guys who would spit really fast lyrics, and the rhyme scheme would just be so pleasing to the ear. But when you break down their rhymes, they're primarily focused on vowel sounds. They're not worried as much about the consonants. A master of this is the legendary lyric writer Eminem. You gotta lose yourself in the music the moment you own it. Moments and own it are not exact rhymes, even though it kind of feels like they are. But moment has an N sound at the very end of it. Moment and own it flows super nicely, and it doesn't need to be a super specific exact rhyme for that to work. Another great example from Eminem is Rap God. If you think about the chorus, I'm beginning to feel like a rap god. All my people from the front to the back nod. Now who thinks their arms are long enough to slap box? They say I rap like a robot, call me rap bot. Every rhyme at the end of each of those lines is a two-syllable rhyme. Not a single pairing of those are exact rhymes. They all use a different combination of consonant sounds. But what matters is the internal vowel sound. Ah, ah. You can really push this too. A perfect example is Old Town Road by Lil Nas X. Biggest song in the world for a long time. But what is the rhyme in the chorus? I'm gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. He's rhyming road with more. That's really a stretch. When it comes down to it, there's no hard and fast rules for exactly how to use half rhymes. If it doesn't sound like it works, try something else. All right, the third thing I wish I'd realized as a young songwriter is how flexible I can be with the cadence of my lyrics. There's so many creative ways to stretch out short lines or compress and shrink fast lines to make them fit my cadence and my melody. And as long as I'm tactful and careful about it, I can do some crazy things and make them work. There's two great examples of this that come to mind right away. Number one is the song Imagine by John Lennon. But the world will be as one. Now that be as one thing shouldn't really work. You could say the world would be one, the world is one. Like there's ways to kind of shorten that down and compress it and make it a little more compact. But John Lennon apparently was like,
no, I want to say be as one, and I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna fit it in there.
Be as one. And he does it in such a casual, natural way that it actually works when, quite frankly, it shouldn't. Another great example is I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. I will always love you. 5 words, 6 syllables, and she stretches that out for an entire chorus. I will always love you. Right, that takes up so much space, but she's relying on the purity of her voice, the vocal runs she's doing, the backing music to carry her. Because of all those qualities, she was like,
no, I can adopt this to work for, I can make it the entire melody for the chorus.
And she did it and pulled it off, and again, it's a legendary song. Just like Imagine, one of the most famous songs in history. All of this is just a giant puzzle we have to solve, and the more creative you can get about how you move around the pieces of the puzzle, the more workable solutions you will find. All right, the fourth thing that it took me forever to figure out as a young songwriter is show, don't tell. Think about those lyrics I sang at the very beginning of this video. I feel sad. I'm just very bluntly and boringly a word, telling you exactly how I feel in those lyrics. It made me feel sad. That explores nothing new. I'll just rattle off a bunch of other ways that I could convey the same sentiment that automatically make it more exciting. The clouds overhead match the fog in my soul. There's some visual imagery there. It's a very specific sense-based representation of sadness. And here's another one. I felt like a kid again. My friends gossiping behind my back, my mom's disapproving looks, and the petrifying feeling that the future could only get worse. That might be a little long for a song lyric, but again, it gets the point across, right? It's comparing the sadness to a sadness that the narrator or character experienced as a child. So much more potent than it made me feel sad. Or here's another one. I wondered what it would be like to feel joy. Not outright saying that there is a sadness. Instead, using the opposite experience as a way to allude to it. I wondered what it would be like to feel joy implies that I am not currently feeling joy. So if I'm not feeling joy, or if I never feel joy and don't know what that's like, there must be this all-consuming, permeating sadness and misery suppressing that. You want to put the listener in the narrator's shoes as much as possible. And it's going to be much easier to do that by describing things in vivid, poetic, and metaphorical ways than it's going to be to just say, I'm sad. All right, so the fifth thing I wish I'd understood as a young songwriter about lyrics is trust your audience. Don't give them too much. So my favorite book series of all time is called the Three Body Problem series by a Chinese author named Cixin Liu. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of his name, so forgive me. But it's an incredibly compelling sci-fi story. In the second book, which is called The Dark Forest, there's a character called Luo Ji, who's the protagonist of that book. At one point, the author is telling the story of how he used to date this author. And this author, for her birthday, wanted Luo Ji to write a book for her. And so he sat down and he tried to write a novel and he gave it to her and she was like,
No. You're just telling me everything that's going on with this character and it's all very surface level.
She told him, instead of doing that, what I want you to do is create a character in your head. Picture and envision the perfect character. Imagine everything about what it looked and sounded like in the hospital room on the day they were born. Their favorite fragrance, the experiences they had being bullied by childhood bullies in school. Then just take snapshots of that life and put those in story form. The rest will come across because it will be infused into your descriptions of this character. The point is, this is a great way to think about storytelling. Instead of saying, there once was a farmer, he went out to feed his chickens. It was 8:45 a.m. He went back to the barn to make himself breakfast. He cooked 4 eggs and a couple strips of bacon. You can envision all of those things and really put yourself in that farmer's shoes, but then only tell the important details. The farmer woke up one day as he always did and went outside. There was a hole in the chicken coop. He didn't hear the familiar clucking. In shock, he dropped his bag of feed. The context clues that I embed into the story make it obvious who the farmer is, what his life is like, and why this new story arc matters. Cherry pick the important details, and if you do that well enough, the listener will fill in everything else. All right, the sixth thing I wish I had realized as a kid learning how to write songs. Is it just me, or does anybody else have a problem saying the word sixth? That's too many consonants in a row. Sorry. Thing number 6 is do not be afraid to repeat words and phrases. I was talking about this with a student last week. She's a brilliant songwriter, so gifted. She's 13 and just has such a deep emotional well. But she does the exact same thing I tried to do when I was 13, and that is, I can't repeat things because it's lazy, and I always just have to be adding more words, more phrases, more sections, etc. And so what did I do to get this point across for her? Well, I played her the song Shine by Collective Soul. Whoa, heaven let your light shine now. Oh, whoa, heaven let your light shine now. If you Google the lyrics and you look at the chorus, it's literally, whoa, heaven let your light shine down. 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 Now, if they had tried to change the melody and the lyrics every time, sure, maybe they could have come up with something else that worked, but they didn't need to. The simplicity of just saying, whoa, heaven let your light shine down, which is a beautiful phrase, by the way, is what drove it into people's heads. Made it this unforgettable earworm that you could sing to almost anybody over the age of 25 and they'd immediately recognize. Another slightly different example of this is the song Happier by Bastille and Marshmello, one of my favorites. Lately I've been thinking, I want you to be happier, I want you to be happier. better. So that I've been repeats because it matches that melody really nice. I've been thinking. And then I want you to be happier. I want you to be happier. If you say it one time, then it's like, sure. If you say it 2 times, it's like, oh, they really care about my happiness. Plus, just like the collective soul song, it gets stuck in your head much more easily and then you'll come back to the song more, which ultimately is any artist's goal. It's almost hard to overdo it. Obviously, you can get to the point where you're saying the same thing too many times, but the rule that I've come to adopt in my adult life, I repeat words and phrases as much as I can up to the point where it feels like it might be too much, and then I stop. So there you go. It's hard to write good lyrics. Hopefully what we just talked about is a slate of tools that you can use to go off and guide your songwriting and your storytelling in the right direction. If you do end up writing a song using any of these tips, let me know down below. I would love to take a listen and hear what you did with it. And if you found any value in this, please, please, please like this video, hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, keep learning, keep writing, and I'll see you in the next one.